Have you guys ever had a game where you just got extremely bored playing through it the entire time? I think that game for me is DC Universe Online. If you haven't heard of this game before, DC Universe Online, or DCUO for short, is DC's only MMORPG and was released in 2011. It's kind of shocking that in the last few years that this game is still being supported and that there hasn't been either a sequel to this game or just another type of MMORPG set in the DC universe. Now this is my first time actually really diving deep into this game, and to help me get as much information as possible, I asked my brother for some help.
Son, you know, once you start, there's no going back.
I think what does help this game out a lot is that it's set in the DC universe. It's a great change of pace to play a DC game that doesn't revolve around Batman or the Bat family, and this game does great with using its entire universe. The main story of this game revolves around Brainiac trying to take over the world and Lex Luthor from another timeline releasing exobites on the planet that gives a ton of people their powers. Daybreak did a great job having every mission revolve around a different hero, so it does help there with not every mission feeling the same story-wise, and on a side note, that opening cinematic is just awesome.
Woo! It's showtime! Woo!
The main aspect of this game is the RPG element. Right off the bat, the initial character customization is pretty top notch, and you do have a lot of choices to make your character feel like it's yours. It's really cool to be able to have all these options on clothing, powers, movement types, and weapons, and helps not make every single player's character look and feel the same. It was a nice touch too to be able to make your character based off of other heroes or villains in the game. Now customization outside of the tutorial is on a completely different level. There are so many players out there that make their characters look identical to the characters in the comics. It's a nice side activity in the game to run around and just have a look at all the other players' outfits and how creative they can be with them too. Now combat is not anything too crazy, and I know this game is almost 12 years old, but it is nice to be able to create a couple of combos and be able to upgrade not only my abilities, but also unlock some iconic powers like laser vision and freeze breath. Now the other RPG elements of this game are actually not that bad either. It was a nice choice to have every mission always deal with another character, so not every mission is the same thing over and over again. Being able to also have multiple characters is also a nice touch, and having the choice to play as a hero or a villain adds to the replayability as well. Inventory management is also nice and easy to understand, and what's fun too is that every player has the option to have their own base and decorate it however they want. I definitely recommend playing this game with other people as well. I think playing solo in any MMORPG can be very boring, and I think with DCUO, playing solo can be extremely boring. Now there are different ways to meet players or play with other players, like in raids or joining other players' leagues as well. Now a complaint I do have is the open world. It feels completely empty all the time. Now it's a nice touch to be able to go to different cities and even the watchtower, but everything does feel like it's missing something, and I think what could help is having more activities to do out in the open world. Now I will give props to Daybreak for doing a fantastic job on how every character looks in this game. It feels like everyone was pulled straight out of a comic book, and graphics wise I do think that this game looks pretty solid for being originally released for the PS3. Now let's move to my main problem with this game. Why is everything so expensive, or sometimes even behind a paywall? Just starting from the character creation part, there are powers and even some weapons locked, and the only way to get them is by paying for them. Now you can buy powers and weapons individually, but I don't think anyone is interested in paying $5 just to use a shield in a video game.
Blood-sucking old vampire, you bled me dry and you still want more?
I'm not an uncaring man, Mr. Presley.
But you basically have to pay monthly for them. Another thing that can be behind a paywall is combat rating. Now combat rating is what you level after you pass level 30, and in the main menu of the game, Daybreak offers you to skip to combat rating 310 for only $50. Now one last thing is artifacts. Artifacts basically just give you extra stats, and you can use real money to upgrade them to have an advantage over other players. I understand that yes, DCUO is a free game and that Daybreak has to make money somehow, but these prices are way too overpriced, especially with this game being over 10 years old. And I think after going over everything previously listed, I'm just really bummed I just couldn't get into this game. I've been looking for a game to really sink a whole lot of time into, and especially since it's set in the DC universe, I thought I would just have more fun than I actually did. I think that DCUO's main problem is that it's just a dated MMORPG. It has its moments, but I think this game being set in the DC universe is the only thing that it has going for it right now. If the devs could start to lower the prices and release more content that isn't just recycled from previous updates, I think this game could have a real shot at making a comeback or even maybe getting a sequel for the future. Now thanks for watching, and of course, happy holidays.